What's good, what's good, what's good, what's good, family? Working class intellectuals, we back on deck, back in the building.
We back.
2017, you know y'all been missing us. We've been missing y'all. We back in the studio. We got an amazing episode for you this week. But you know what I'm saying. I'm Professor Joseph Richardson, a.k.a. Uptown Philly 215. You know me as JoJo, and I'm here, my co-host.
Guys, it's the Revolutionist J. Hey, my Instagram is bullets_with_no_name it. Guys, it feels phenomenal to be back.
Let's toast it up. Salutations. Salute. So yo, what's been good, bro?
Man, today's been a very long day. Very long day, but we're here. Man, I feel like when the last time we was in the studio?
Yo, we've been on a hiatus.
Hiatus.
Straight up. For all our listeners, yo, we gotta clear something up. Like, we record and shoot the show in the studios of Hornbeck Library at the University of Maryland at College Park. So, you know, during the Christmas break, like, we totally on shutdown mode because the studio shut down, so we can't get in here. And then once it was up, man, I got mad sick. I was sick for like a week. Then my wife got sick. Shout out to my beautiful wife, Jean Richardson. Just got papers yesterday, so she's officially Jean Richardson, my beautiful wife, who's also entering a scholarship for culinary school right now. And shout out to all the haters who never voted for her. We ain't got no love for y'all. So anyway, moving on. Let's proceed. Trump, fuck shit.
Fuck a Trump.
Chump. You know what I'm saying?
Chump.
We'll be impeaching him in the next couple of months. Don't worry, y'all.
Oh,
cool.
Special shout out to all the women that's listening. Happy late Valentine's Day.
Yes.
I hope you guys enjoyed the Valentine's yesterday. How was yours?
Yo, mine was cool. We actually went out on Saturday. We went to Philomena. This Italian restaurant. It was bomb.
What'd you get?
I got lobster lasagna. No, seafood lasagna.
Oh, you fancy.
Oh, yeah, man. You know how I do it. I do it. You know what I'm saying?
How was yours?
Typically, wife was working, but I sent the flowers,
Yeah, that was smart.
Yeah.
That was smart.
Yeah, come my baby.
Come smart.
Yeah, I sent the flowers, So it's all good.
So we in here, man. New year, new grind. We're gonna be bringing y'all the heat. So yo, let me set up this story for our guest today, man, because we got amazing guests having a seat at the table. So a couple of months ago, I get a call from my man Bob Bates, my OG Bob Bates, who he and I were on the board at Brady.
Okay.
So we were on board members for the Brady campaign to prevent gun violence.
Okay.
They kicked me off. Just want to say that in full disclosure. I don't know why, but probably my politics wasn't agreeing with this. But long story short, man, a brother who is a journalist at Columbia School of Journalism hits me up. Shout out to Christian Madsen. And he's doing his thesis on African Americans and gun ownership. So Bob, he hits up Bob. And, you know, Bob's my OG, so Bob hits me up. And Christian, he and I connect by phone. And he's explaining to me, like, his interest in gun ownership among African Americans. And I'm like, yo, this is right up my alley. Because I was about to create a class. And actually, I am. It's going to be called Negroes with Guns, based on Second Amendment right. And exercise your Second Amendment right. And based on the film by Robert Williams, who was in North Carolina, Black Panther, ended up going to Cuba. Shout out to Cuba, because we're going there for spring break, me and my wife. But so Christian and I start talking, and he brings to my attention something I had never heard of before. It's called the National African American Gun Association.
Okay.
And so I was like, yo, I never heard of that, but it sounds fly. So he said, yeah, I'm interviewing chapters, across the country. And, I just kind of want your thoughts about it. So he and I kicked it for a minute. And, I told him, yeah, I'm a gun owner. And I got one gun. And I plan to buy a couple more. And so he had mentioned the organization. So I was like, yo, let me do my homework. So I started looking through the chapters. And before I hit up our esteemed guest today, I hit up a gun dealer because at first I was trying to hit up black gun dealers, and that was like almost a no-go. So I was like, yo, let me shift over to the chapters, and lo and behold, I find that there's a chapter in Maryland, not only in Maryland, in Prince George's County, in Bowie, that was started by who we have here taking a seat at the table today.
Thank
And
you.
so I would like to welcome
Steve Yorkman.
Steve Yorkman. Let's salute that. From
What's up,
Steve
Steve?
Yorkman
Thank you for the
from
invite.
the National African American Gun Association has his own chapter
Thank you.
named after who?
Robert Williams.
The esteemed Robert Williams. For y'all that don't know Robert Williams, y'all need to look up Robert Williams and the documentary Negroes with Guns.
Yep.
So let's get it popping.
Yep.
What led you to start your own chapter for black people and enthusiasts to exercise our Second Amendment rights?
That's a good leading question. That's a good opening question. Last summer when we had all the gun violence, police violence, the crime in Chicago with the guns and stuff like that, certain things after a while will move you to do something. So we got the Black Lives Matter movement going on with the violence from police. And so when the two brothers got shot in one in Minnesota, one in New Orleans, it's just a perception of black men with guns. And I'm like, that's not who we are. I have guns, I have friends who have guns. We go out and shoot, just like the average, Caucasian. But the perception of a black man with a gun is different from the perception from a white man with a gun. And this is how it is, So I wanted to do something that's going to change that perception, of us and firearms. There's plenty of gun owners in the area. So I did research like you did too. Talked to the NRA. There was nothing going on there. I just did my research and I actually called up a brother by Phil Smith. He's actually national president of NAAGA.
Okay.
And so we got to talk, and when I did my research again, I said, there's not one here local. Can I start one? He was like, sure, go right ahead. And so that's what I did. I started one local, reached out to people on meetup.com, and before you know it, we're like 34 members strong.
So how long have you been interested in guns and dealing with guns?
Oh, I started with guns in elementary school.
Hold up. Now, we're not saying go play with guns, kids.
No,
We're
not
not saying
like that. I started in elementary school. Like, it was a summer camp program. We take the DC kid, send him to a white summer camp, mess his head all up, for 2
Right.
weeks, They had an actual NRA instructor out there on the gun range, but growing up in where I grew up at, guns were a bad thing.
Where'd you grow up at?
I grew up in D.C.,
Okay.
Northeast, and also Kettering, Maryland,
Okay.
back and forth, But, guns were a bad thing in the black community just because it was who and what they were associated with. So when I went to camp, I was amazed. These kids were, were shooting guns. But I thought, being black, I couldn't do that.
Right.
Because we were told at a young age, you don't never touch a gun.
Yo, so hold on. So did your parents know that this was going on?
No, because I'm quite sure they knew that was going on. I would not go back that camp.
Okay.
They didn't know that. So after I came back from camp,
Right.
So anyhow, I went there and got trained by the NRA instructor, and this eventually grew into passion for it. In fact, at that time, I was the best shooter for my age group. So I just took naturally to it. But when I got back home, of course, I didn't have one. So I got pellet guns, BB guns. And eventually when I became an adult, I got my own and just started shooting, not professionally, but just for the fun of it.
Right.
Trap shooting, pistol shooting, target shooting, whatever you can. And that's how I got started.
So do you remember the first time you shot your gun? Like, what was the feeling like the first time you let a round off?
It was powerful. It was a powerful feeling that the way they described it, you had the power of life and death in your hand. And that's what, was like an awesome feeling. And plus seeing, things just splatter apart and stuff like that. We shot at camp, we shot watermelons, we shot cans, we shot jugs with bottles in it, with water in it, It's just what's a powerful thing, but that feeling you get that you have the power of life and death in your hands, that's an awesome feeling the first time you shoot a gun. It's just a powerful feeling.
So when you came home, like, You went and told your parents y'all was just busting off guns?
Well, actually, my mom's found out about it first because she didn't know. My dad or my mom didn't know they had guns at the camp. But when you shoot at the NRA and you show up on an instructor, you get your certificate that you were trained, you get your patches and stuff like that. So she's happened to see the NRA patch in my bag. So she asked about that.
Right.
You know, and so she pretty much said, well, you know, we don't have guns in the house, and you have to pay for a gun, which I knew, you know. But I didn't get my first gun legally until I was probably 21.
Okay.
You know, but since then I don't have I want to call it collection, but you know I have several handguns, several long guns, so on and so forth.
So that brings me to my next question. What's your favorite type of weapon?
Depends.
Let's start off with handguns.
Probably my Glock 17.
Glock 17.
Yes.
So what about rifles?
Probably my Mossberg 501.
Yeah, strong.
Tactical shotgun.
Why the Glock 17?
It's a workhorse. You don't have to clean it too much. I probably put like 1,000 rounds through that gun. Never had to jam not one time.
Right.
You know,
right.
it's just a gun. If you know you have to, you know, get down with something, you know, you want to have something that's going to work for you day in, day out.
That's the one.
That's the one. The Glock 17.
You seen this mini Draco?
Huh?
Have you seen the mini Draco?
Mm-mm.
You need to check it.
Mm-mm.
It's like the mini pistol for AK-47.
Oh, no.
But I want to digress, man, because I'm sounding like I know a little bit too much about guns.
I'm a student. I always say, I'm learning every day about guns. You know, I'm not an expert. You know, if I don't know, I'll find out. But I don't pretend to be an expert about guns. I just, I'm just a gun enthusiast.
So did your parents? Did they have? They didn't have guns in the house.
No, they never had a gun. In fact, no one that I know of legally had a gun in the house except from one of my cousins. He was a DC cop.
Okay.
But even with his gun, it was nothing, gangster. It was only a 380. That he used during that time. He was more a detective anyway, so he didn't need a big cannon.
Right.
But as far as having guns in the house, there are none. That was not an option. Now, I probably would say I'm the only gun enthusiast in my family.
So, for all the listeners, what type of advice could you give them as far as safety-wise when it comes to
safety? Safety first and safety last. It's just you got to be smart with it. It's not a toy, like you said. Don't play with guns. Kids don't play with guns.
I second that.
It's not a toy. Instruction. If you get the proper professional instruction, that's a good start. If you're interested, and that's the first thing they do. They go over safety for at least the one instruction I've been with, at least for an hour.
Okay.
Talking about the safety for the guns. Second, if you have kids like I do, make sure they're secured and locked up. And third, whenever you see a gun, your first impression of the gun is loaded. You never want to assume that the gun is unloaded.
Right.
How many times we've heard, a kid or a spouse pick up a gun and dry fire and just, a round goes off. You never know.
Right.
So it's like real. It's not a toy, but it's the same thing. It's a tool.
It's a
Depends
tool.
how you use it. It can be used for good. It can be used for bad.
Okay.
So let's just go back a little bit on why we even talking about this in the first place. And so there's a long history of basically prohibition in removing African Americans and disarming African Americans from having guns. We can go back to slavery, slave patrols, black codes, which were meant to round up black people and disarm them, right? And so there was always the history in this country of disarming African Americans.
Even today.
Exactly.
Even today.
So even when we saw this situation in Dallas, right, with the police,
Yeah.
you had the brothers that were open carry,
Yeah,
right?
Yep.
And then I remember the narrative on the news for at least a couple of hours was these were the two brothers that did it.
Yeah, and that's another thing the movie to protect the image of a black man with a gun. See, the media will frame anything the way they want the public to hear it.
Exactly.
But if you saw the pictures before the rally, before the protest, that brother was posing with police officers. He had his hand around him. If you look at the gun, the stock was open, and then there was no magazine in it. So he couldn't be the shooter.
And he was directing the crowd.
Yeah,
right.
And he was walking away from the gunfire, but yet, they profiled him, took him down, they asked him a bunch of questions, and probably still to this day, he's probably still getting, threats to his life before that happened.
Yeah, I think they interviewed him and his brother. This is
several
crazy.
times.
And so I agree. You had Philando Castile.
Yeah.
Killed in Minneapolis, had a gun on him, told the police, I'm licensed to carry.
Right.
Still got shot, still was murdered.
Same thing with the brother in New Orleans. It's not against the law to have a concealed weapon in New Orleans or Minnesota. But again, the perception of us having a weapon on us versus a Caucasian is totally different. And the way I approach it, people ask me about it all the time. So just think of a picture. You have a 21-year-old, jeans, red t-shirt, red cap, sneakers. Cool. But one's black and have dreads, and one's white. The perception of that just totally changes when you put color in the mix.
Exactly.
And that's what NAAGA is all about. NAAGA is all about changing perception of the black man with gun, civil rights for the community for the black community with guns, and this honest, this changing how the gun balance in the city with guns. It's just everything about negative that comes with a gun. We want to flip and make it positive.
Exactly. And I think that was one of the issues I had with being on a board of gun violence, anti-gun violence advocacy. And we totally are anti-gun violence.
Right.
We work in the trauma unit. We just came back from two high schools earlier today.
Yeah.
But just because just because we're anti-gun violence doesn't mean that we're against owning a gun.
And that's
responsibly.
Yep.
And I think people get it real twisted, like,
right.
Oh, that's a contradiction, that's hypocrisy. How could you own a gun, but you out there doing, violence prevention work, and you're working in the hospital, you're working with guys that have been shot, and worry about guys retaliating, and they're using a gun, and all of these homicides. And the second thing is, Chicago is not #1 in the nation per capita in homicides. Get that out your mind. But we hear that narrative so much that it almost fuels us to kind of want to disarm ourselves.
And that's,
right?
That's the notion that they give, that for you to be safe, you can't have a gun. And that's, again, goes back to the history of disarming blacks and guns. You can go to the black codes, you can go to the civil rights. Even today, in the state of Maryland, like you said, Chicago, so on and so forth, it's an issue of us having guns. And that's not going to stop. That's not going to stop the gun balance.
No.
It's not.
No.
It's just gun responsibility will. Being responsible, but disarming us, no, I'm not for that.
So you ever watched on YouTube, they got this white guy, Hickok 45, you ever see him?
Mm-hmm.
When we gonna have a brother that does that? Because we need a brother, just like he's every episode, it's Glock, he'll have a Desert Eagle showing you exactly how it works. When we gonna get a brother that can be a Hickok 45?
You have some, and which I want to reach out to you, to them. There's one that has the Black Guns Matter movement going on. I can't pronounce his name. I think it's Mod or something like that. I don't know. I want to reach out to him. There's another brother that's on the NRA TV that he does his episodes on YouTube about guns. They're out there. They're just not out there like the guy that you mentioned. And it could be, again, because of a safety issue.
You think it's just the perception of having a brother every episode handling new guns, and America can't take that narrative.
Like I said, the image I gave you, you have teenage boy, 21-year-old boy, red hat, t-shirt, jeans, and sneakers. Except one's white and one has dreads.
One has a "Make America Great Again."
Yeah. See, that's different, But if you just have a red baseball cap, you think he's a blood or crip or something like that with a gun, and it's his perception.
So how do you feel about felons with guns? Do you think they should be allowed to apply, or what's your perception of that matter?
Well,
does that affect clearly? Does that impact the membership to your group?
Yeah, that's why I paused for a second. For our group, you have to qualify for a handgun license.
Okay.
And if you can't qualify for a handgun license, then you won't be able to get membership or gain membership to the group. But we are working with brothers and sisters who have felonies to get that erased so they can have a gun. Right. Sometimes, I forget the story of the sister. I think she was in Florida, and she had an abuse relation with a man or boy, or whatever it is. And she fired one shot, and she got a felon. Meanwhile, you had George Zimmerman walking around free. So we're trying to change that at a national level. I'm talking to politicians, mayors, governors, so on and so forth, to change that law so felons, can own guns. Personally, I think it's a disgrace. You go in, you do your time, and they ask you to come back and integrate back in society, but you can't have a gun. You can't get a student loan. You can't get Section 8. Certain jobs you can't get.
So it's like they force you to be a criminal.
Right. To go back and
right.
So that's what we're working to change that. So you can integrate back in society. And let's face it, where some felons have to live, it's not safe.
It's not safe. It's crazy that you say. I'm just sitting back and thinking about. I've been dealing with guns, handguns, since I was 12, 13 years old. You know what I mean? And I just sit back and think about how many times I probably could have blew my face off. You know what I mean? Just not being careful, not putting safety first. You know what I mean? But I just remember I'm from Southeast, and it's easy. It's very easy to get it done.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So my question, just in general, maybe, is that how are these guns getting into the country? How are they getting to the Southeast, the Northeast?
There is to my knowledge, there's no African American gun manufacturer.
Okay.
We don't make them.
Okay.
We don't make the ammo. Okay. However, we don't have the policing of the community that can stop the guns from coming in and going out. We don't have that. We don't have that control like we think we do. There is a underground market for guns. If you wanted to, you probably go on Craigslist right now and get a gun. Obama said he closed the loophole for the gun shows. That's not true. There's been times I went to Virginia, to buy a gun legally, but the guy said I couldn't sell it to you here, but if you come here, I can sell it to you. And of course, that's the same response you did. Hit the same.
So if I'm a Maryland, because I never understood this, if I'm a Maryland resident, can I go to a gun show in Virginia and buy a gun?
You can't buy a handgun in Virginia being a Maryland resident. You can buy a long gun. However, it has to be shipped to an FFL person in the state of Maryland.
Okay.
So when you receive it, you have to be in the state of Maryland to receive it.
Okay. So it has to be shipped to a federal licensed dealer.
Right.
And then I have to go pick it up from the dealer.
Yeah, in the state of Maryland. So because you can't legally buy a handgun.
I remember you saying.
Virginia.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I remember you saying something about you say like a box of bullets, or how much it costs to make a bullet. Remember you were talking about that?
No, I was saying I was kind of playing on the whole Chris Rock thing, but I was saying the average cost to say of a cheap 9mm bullet might be 25 cents. But when we see the person at the hospital that's shot, we're going into, if they're admitted, we're going into costs like $17,000, $20,000. And I've seen it cost, someone injured multiple times, you going up to at least $300,000. So you have a quarter, that ends up going at $300,000 of cost, right? But
that's just the medical cost.
Exactly. That's not associated with like lifetime over their lifetime. That's just medical costs alone and societal costs.
Right.
So I want to backtrack to the Deacons of Defense, Black Panther Party, because we can't dismiss that without talking about the legalization and exercising our Second Amendment right without addressing Deacons of Defense, who was in Louisiana. It was basically one of the first gun advocacy groups among African Americans and protected core, which is Congress of Racial Equality, Martin Luther King, right? So before we move on, let's get this straight. Martin Luther King did own guns.
Yeah, yes he did. Yes,
he was a gun owner.
Yes.
Don't believe people that Martin Luther King was walking around on and all of that. Martin Luther King owned some gats.
He owned guns.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. And that was a requirement of the Deacon of Defense. You gotta have one on you when you march with us. That was a requirement. Yeah, so he did carry guns.
And so we move on to Black Panthers. Bobby Seale, Huey Newton, and the whole open carry in California, which eventually through Reagan got shut down because they couldn't take brothers carrying guns again. Right? So here we go again. Brothers can't carry guns again. So we right back where we started. We started with that. And so I guess based on that, have you caught any kind of flack, like personally from your chapter, or heard of other chapters that are exercising their Second Amendment right, but we are black, that are catching that kind of heat.
Not catching heat, but being cautious when you're carrying. When you go to your meetup, so if you shoot in the range, of course you can open carry, but like I said, it's the perception and image that you don't want to give off. You don't want to give off like you're a thug or something like that.
Right.
So, not catching heat, but we're always cautious. When I go shoot to the gun range in Virginia or Maryland, I make sure that, my pistol's up front, the ammo's in the back. I'm so paranoid, I take pictures to prove, that the pistol was up front and the ammo's in the back. I instruct anyone else that.
So every time you get in your car,
if I'm going to the gun range,
you snap a picture.
I just feel I have to. I just feel I don't have that trust. Oh, let me flip it. I don't think the police have that trust in me. To feel comfortable.
Trust in them either.
Well, I don't either, but it's the first thing. That's the first thing I'm gonna see. Because it's out in the open. You see my Glock case right there.
Right.
So as soon as they pull up, and that's purposeful. I want you to see. You ain't even gotta ask. You see the case right there.
Has it ever happened when you stop?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What went down?
Came up to the on the driver's side. I had my window, rolled down.
Mm-hmm.
You do the position like that.
Exactly.
And he looked at me. He looked at me. He just said, "Do you have a firearm in the car?" I didn't get stupid. And I'm like, "Yes, I do." Asked why. I said, "I'm going to the gun range." Of course they asked you to step out. They put me in cuffs. But I told her where the ammo was. He checked out, the gun. Made sure it wasn't loaded. I asked if I had a HQL, which I did. I showed him that.
What's that?
Handgun qualifying license,
Okay.
just to say, you had some kind of training, check the glove compartment and stuff like that, working the citation with speed, and that was it.
So how did it feel when he put you in cuffs?
He did put me in cuffs.
Oh, he did put you in cuffs.
He did put me in cuffs. He did put me in cuffs, but I was scared. You never know what's going to happen, at that point in time when the police ask you to step out of the car.
Right.
You don't know what. Plus, I had, some things in my mind. Okay, what kind of lie he's going to put on me? Is he going to put something in the car I don't see?
Right.
It's just a whole entire thing going through your mind. I didn't think I was going to get shot. But I did thought about it. I said, well, there's no reason for him to shoot me because he clearly
Not that
sees
they
it.
need a reason.
Yeah, that's true too. But the gun's in the car. But it's just the whole entire thing. Having the gun on you, being paranoid, and dealing with the police. And that's the whole thing I'm trying to stop the perception of it.
So, can you explain, I guess, to the public the difference between, as far as bullets, as far as hollow points, and whichever else?
The best way I can explain it is actually have a picture of it.
Okay.
But hollow points, they expand when they hit something.
Okay.
And that's done so they won't penetrate and go through. You do have some heavy ballistics will actually go through you. And so when it does go through, say a body, that's a small wound on the front part, but a big Xing wound on the back part when it goes through for a hollow point. But usually it expands and it will stop, usually within the body sometimes.
Okay.
What you have full metal jackets, which is nothing but a solid a ballistic.
Okay.
You have TMJs, which is something similar, a solid ballistic, and those are normally used for practicing in the gun range.
Okay.
For us, like shooting in your home, you wouldn't want to shoot with a full metal jacket because you don't want it to actually go through something.
Okay.
If you're shooting at a home invader or something like that,
Right.
you want to have a hollow point because you don't want to go through him and into the wall and hit your kid or something like that. But those are the ones with the hollow points and the full metal jackets that we're talking about. Like I said, but the full metal jackets are really used for practicing.
Which one do you prefer, as far as bullet-wise, hollow points or?
Oh, if from home defense, I use hollow points.
Okay.
When we're shooting in the range, I don't want to waste my money on hollow points. Using full metal jackets.
Okay.
NRA. This is where I find to be, the most conflict and kind of hypocrisy in the whole African American gun ownership narrative. So, my understanding is, and you clearly correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the expert, but the NRA, the National African American Gun Association, there hasn't been tepid support, Strong support.
It hasn't. It's getting stronger.
Okay.
It's not as strong as where it could be. And I was cautioned about speaking out against the NRA.
Right.
But just to take a step back, with the NRA and blacks in the Second Amendment, the NRA was a big supporter initially of Robert Williams and the Deacons of Defense. In fact, they didn't get support from the NAACP for that, especially Robert Williams, for bearing guns. It was a conflict to MLK and the balance in court. And they got support from the NRA.
Right.
But like you said, you mentioned the Black Panthers. That's when I felt that the support wasn't there. So NAAGA is getting support from the NRA, but it's not. Let's just say right now it's lukewarm, in my opinion.
Okay.
If you call the NRA right now and ask someone on their, customer service or their PR person, you know about NAAGA, it's a good chance they might not know who we are.
Really?
Yeah. Now, even though there's the brother on the NRA TV, I forgot his name's Black Colin something. He's aware of it because I seen the episode when he was interviewing our national president, Bullock Smith. There's some other articles from the NRA on NAAGA. But again, if you call the PR, their press people, and ask them about NAAGA, there's a good chance they won't know. Also because we're young. We started in February 2015.
Yeah, no, you're relatively new.
Yeah, so.
But you have a lot of chapters for
Oh
a
yeah,
very new organization.
we get about 35 new members a month, if not more.
Have you found that since the election of Trump?
Oh yeah, this is big increase in the African American young.
Have you seen it?
I've seen when I go shoot at let's say Rolling Small and Far Range,
Right.
up at Marlboro, or I'll go to Jessup and shoot there. Even going to the Waldorf at Fred's, it wasn't a lot of us up in there except for Small and Far Range. But now you see a lot of blacks in there not just learning how to shoot, but actually purchasing. Cool. And let's be honest, be afraid.
You're gonna see me in it.
Okay.
I'm coming with you.
They say that that in order to buy a shotgun, the background check the light maybe doesn't take that long. You get within an hour or two.
You can usually walk away that day or that hour for a long gun.
Okay. And when you're saying long gun, what do you mean?
I mean like a shotgun, a long barrel gun.
Okay.
Shotgun, assault rifle, depending on what type of rifle it is. I shouldn't say assault rifle, but hunting gun, a gun for hunting. 12-gauge shotgun, 20-gauge shotgun, things like that. You can walk away with within one day. Now, if you start doing the AK-47s, the AR-15s, 308s, that might take a little longer. But now for a handgun, once you have, in the state of Maryland anyway, once you have your handgun qualifying license, it usually takes 7 days before you actually get your...
Does every person that owns a handgun in Maryland need a handgun qualifying license?
New. If you're getting one just now,
right,
you need to get a handgun qualified
but
license.
what if you previously had one?
You get grandfather and you're exempt.
Okay.
And that was based upon the previous Governor Rowley, who did that.
And what does it take to get one of those licenses?
Probably a 4-hour course.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah. It's some typical training, 4 hours, take you in, show you how to use a gun, safety first, show you how to shoot, and after that, you get your handgun qualified license. Once you pass the background check, of course.
Okay, so it's not like, poll tax, I gotta count jelly.
No, nothing like that.
How many bullets are in the jar?
No Jim Crow stuff.
So I'm interested. Me and my fellow, we have this discussion all the time. What, type of bullets actually penetrate Teflon?
Well, it depends on the ballistic, and it's also different levels of Teflon. Okay. When we say Teflon, we're talking about bulletproof vests. Yeah. There's different levels of Teflon.
Okay. So what's the different levels?
I know level 2 and 3 usually what the police officers have. Okay. Above that, level 3, it's what your military people usually have. So if you're walking around with a vest above level 3, either you in a war, or you're a VIP or something like that. As far as the wet ballistic, it depends on the level. They would tell you at this level, these are the type of ballistics that will stop.
Okay.
This type of level will stop this type of ballistic.
Okay.
Most of them starts now for like street level guns. I call them like the 9mm and 40s. You know, most of us will stop that.
Stop that.
Yeah, but if you start getting a high caliber like 223s and stuff like that, you need a high level Kevlar vest. Yeah, you know, and you can't buy bulletproof vests if you want to, as long as you're not a felon.
So,
Oh, you said, I'm sorry, you said you can't
You can. C-A-N. You can buy them.
Okay.
why do you think it's important for black people to exercise the Second Amendment right?
Just look at history. I mean, just look at our history when. And I had this conversation with a friend of mine. Well, let's look what happened to Hurricane Katrina during that time, when there was no police, no military. There was no one there to protect us. We had to protect ourselves. We got caught. We didn't have guns. The criminals had them, but we didn't.
Right.
The thug police had them, you know, but we didn't. You know, the Asians had them in New Orleans, protecting their the storefronts and stuff like that.
Well, we saw that in L.A. too.
Yeah,
LA
like riots. They had.
We saw it.
Yeah,
We saw that with the Korean store.
The vigilantes had them. The white vigilantes
Right.
that went around, they had them, but we didn't have them. We couldn't protect ourselves. It's the same thing that happened in Baltimore recently with the Freddie Gray riots. They got trapped in their communities, couldn't get out. You know, for like 3 or 4 days, couldn't get out. You know, so it's not necessarily, you know, it's a need for me. I mean, I'd rather have a firearm and just use it for sport and, you know, games and stuff like that. I mean, games like, you know, target shooting or pistol shooting, than be in a situation where I need a firearm and not have it. And let's be honest, I mean, things happen. Things happen in your house. There's like you know, I knew one sister who moved to Detroit. And the first thing she did was learn how to shoot guns, because we knew during that time in Detroit that the budget was shot in a certain areas that the police just wasn't like police. So you had to police yourself.
And it's crazy that you say that. I know a lot of, I guess, women who actually carry firearms for protection. You know what I mean?
That was what I wanted to ask you about, like how many women are getting involved in it, because you hear now, you know, women, particularly black women, are more prone now to want to have a gun. Like, so, and I think black women, really, we probably really looked at it historically, a lot of black women have been shooting.
Oh yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's not like anything new.
Right.
But I mean, we're hearing more black women say they're open to carrying a handgun and owning a handgun.
Well, I can say this, for our chapter, most of the members are females.
That's what. Exactly.
Most of the members are females. And when I look at the females, look at their background, most of the females are new shooters. You know? So that tells you something right there.
What are some of the, or have you heard, like, just anecdotally, reasons why they decided to join the club?
For self-defense, most of the ladies that I speak to, in person or through text, that they're by themselves. They saw the election. They live in neighborhoods that they're not safe. There's no man in the house, and they just want to feel comfortable and protected. And I have no problem with that. You know, it's your self comfort. You want to be comfortable wherever you are in your skin, as I say. You want to be comfortable. Whether you drive in your car, in your house, going to the grocery store, you want to be comfortable. And women are saying, you know what? I want to feel comfortable.
So I mean, this is all off subject. As far as like silencers, are they what's the I guess details of the silencer? Is it legal? Is it illegal?
You can
They're
buy.
trying to push for it now.
You can buy, but it goes back and forth.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't say it's legal or illegal. I see people selling silencers in the gun range. I thought it was illegal. I know they're pushing for it to make it legal. You know, it's one of those things. If you had the silencer before, you get grandfathered in. If you buy a new one or you want one, you have to do something else. I don't like silencers. Personally, I don't like that. And I'll give the example what happened recently in the airport, or even that. Let's take the Post nightclub. when you hit survivors of mass shooting, the first thing they say, I heard gunfire.
Right.
I heard gunfire.
Right.
And so, if you don't hear the gunfire, it doesn't
You
give
have
you a
no way of knowing
chance
to
of
get low.
running or ducking, whatever have you. You can walk right into an ambush. So that's why personally, I don't like silencers. For the everyday John and Jane Doe America. If you're military, whatever have you, fine, so be it. You're a sniper, fine, so be it. But if you're the average John and Jane Doe, America, no, I don't support that.
In the club, I guess the thing that I would be concerned about is the cost, right? So there's a cost to owning a gun, and I mean an economic cost, right? And so, yes, I own a Glock, but a Glock be $600, right? And so you may have people out here a lot of people that may want to own a gun legally, but they just can't afford it.
Sure.
So for somebody that can't afford a $600, $700, $800 gun, $1,000 gun, but they want to be a legal gun owner, where do they start?
You can buy a used gun. You can buy a good used car. You can buy a good used gun. And my first revolver was a used revolver. It was a Ruger SP 101, and it was used. I didn't have the cash for it. Well, I had cash, but I didn't have the cash for a new one.
Right.
So I bought a used one. Gun dealer gave me a 90-day warranty on it, and I still have that Ruger today. No problems. So if you don't have brand new, you always can buy used. But a good used gun is just like a good used car.
Okay.
I'm a revolver fan.
I like them too.
I like revolver.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
had never had a
357s.
Yeah, I like that. I never had a revolver jam on me, so that's
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
I never had a revolver jam on me.
Right.
Yeah.
Are they the most kind of solid guns to have if you want to own a gun?
Now the semis are coming out pretty good. Like I said, my Glock 17. I never had a problem with it. As far as just as good as my revolver.
So when it comes, I see a lot of young fellas talking about extendos and extendo clip and the whole 30 and whole. What's your perception or your opinion on that?
I don't like extended clips.
Okay.
I give the situation what happened to the representative out in Arizona. Is it Gifford or whatever her name is?
Kathy Gifford.
Yeah,
Kathy
I
Gifford.
think it sounds like anyway. So we're gonna go with it.
Yeah.
I know she was. I'm saying that might have been Frank Gifford's.
I think her first name was Kathy though.
Gifford. She was a congressman.
Yeah, she was a representative
Right.
from Arizona. The guy that came in, he had the extended magazine clip. They had like 30 rounds in it. And
Who shot her?
yeah, and so
Okay.
he just went on a rampage. I'm guessing if it was on like 10 or 15, maybe many people would have wouldn't have died from it. But I don't see the need for it. Why do you need to have 30 rounds? What can you do with 30 you can't do with 15?
If you need 30, you don't need to shoot.
Yeah, what is the problem? What are you doing with 30? What are you doing with it?
Right.
The police don't have 30, in their guns. Why do you need 30?
They've said. I mean, I've heard, and I don't know if this is accurate, but in the shootings in Baltimore, that they were finding more homicides were like multiple gunshot wounds, and guys were dying from guns where dudes were using sticks, and so it wasn't just shooting a guy like one or two times, but they were finding more homicides were committed where there were just multiple gunshots. So I think that's probably that might be what's feeding it.
Just feeding it
in a way.
Could be.
Yeah.
But that goes to my point. Why do you need that many rounds?
What about when we get into like the AR-15s, the AKs? You think it's necessary for somebody to have an AK or AR?
I think so. It depends on the area. Where we live at, the police can get here pretty quickly. I don't feel I need an AK-47 or AR-15. But if you live in some remote areas like in Texas where it takes a constable, sheriff, or whatever to get to your home or residence in 20 minutes, a lot can happen within 20 minutes. So you might need an AK-47,
Yo, it's so funny. It's so funny you say that, because everybody that knows me knows I'm like, I like to live like way out. I live way out now, but there's people around. I got neighbors, but ultimately my next house is going to be like remote.
Yeah.
And I remember my man telling me, he's like, yo, you gonna need like an AR or
Yeah,
something.
I mean,
You gonna need an He was like, yo, if you gonna live out there, man, you gonna need
You
you gonna need a little AK or
it's gonna
something.
take
And I used to be
a
like,
little-
nah, what's wrong with you just having a little hammer? He's like, no, man. You gonna need an AK or AR when you live out somewhere like that.
You live that far away from the police or sheriff, whatever it is, you might want to have something like that just in case. You know, so for me, like I don't feel like I need one in this area.
Right.
You know, but if you live like someplace remote area in Texas, someplace where it takes like 20 or 30 minutes for someone to get there,
Oh yeah.
you might want to have something. You might have something like
You hear that, baby? We gonna need them cannons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My wife gonna need to be holding it down. You know, Bonnie and Clyde. But social responsibility. So I know that on your on the website, you guys advocate for like social programs that deal with gun violence. Particularly, I think people will hear, okay, yes, there are chapters of black chapters that advocate for responsible gun ownership. But what do you say to the naysayers that are like, well, guns are what's responsible for killing most young black men?
What I say to?
Yeah.
I mean,
but your organization is advocating for black people to own guns.
See, but what can you say to that? You know, they already had their mind made up. It's just like most of my family members already had their mind made up about about the gun ownership. It's not the gun that's doing the killing. There's a person that's holding the gun that's doing the killing. Our organization, that's what we want to change. We want to, hey, this is not a toy. There's life and death in this gun. Let's go out and learn gun responsibility. Let's go to the range and learn how to shoot it. One of the things I want to do with our chapter is actually, maybe that summer take some kids around. We're going to learn how to shoot guns. But first, we're going to go to a hospital. We're going to go to the morgue, and we're going to show you what happens when you play around with guns.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do.
Y'all should link up with us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we could bring some kids that you're training to see, like the actual images of what happens when you're not responsible with a gun, the damage that it can do.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the responsibility, it's also the mental part of it as well.
Right.
When I teach, when I work with someone younger than me by a couple of years, I'm 47, so 20 years, 30 years, I said the first thing you got to realize, you have a responsibility being a gun owner. You can't have a visceral reaction to something. You have to be cerebral. So if you carry, I think you have more responsibility. If there's something breaks out, you have more responsibility to abate the situation, walk away, do whatever you can do before you actually pull that firearm out. George Zimmerman in Florida with Trayvon Martin. That was just irresponsible. Also, I feel that having the weapon on you gives you a sense of power, or you will act where you normally wouldn't act.
Right.
Exactly. That's why I say that, again, you gotta have gun responsibility. You can't have a visceral reaction. You have to think about it. There's certain laws, like you talk about the NRA, which they support, I don't like. I'm not saying I don't like the NRA. I just don't like some of the laws that actually support around the nation. One being stand your ground.
Stand your ground.
I can't stand that law.
Right.
It's a bad law, and I feel it's a law that it's just a bad law all around. First of all, there's no due process for that law. I give people an example who's in favor of stand your ground is that when, let's take a scenario with me. We're in a parking lot during Christmas time, and we're beefing over a parking lot, and there's a white woman, and we're in the state of Florida, and we're beefing. She feels threatened. She shoots me. If I turn around and do the same thing, I feel threatened and shoot her. The law is not going to be applied equally towards me.
Oh, no way in the world.
There's no due process with standing your ground. So since there's no due process, let's not have that law.
Right.
Another one with the NRA, they would support this law for open carry in the state of Missouri, where you don't need any training. As long as you pass a background check, you can carry a gun. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. I mean, I can pass a driver's test, a written driver's test. That doesn't mean I can drive. So I mean, if we do it for drivers, why are you going to do it for someone with a gun?
Right.
So it's just certain things, certain laws with the NRA. I just don't agree with.
And this is crazy that it's crazy like how many people are just dying over bullets that's not meant for them. You understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
And me and Dr. Richardson, came up with the name Bullets with No Name.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Because once that bullet leaves the
Right.
chamber,
Right.
you can't take it.
No, you can't take it back.
At all.
I mean, that's again, it goes back to responsible gun ownership. Let's not have a visceral reaction. Let's think about it. You know, you're a gun owner, so you have more responsibility to walk away and be responsible.
And most, you know, and unfortunately, a lot of guys out here on the street that's carrying guns really can't shoot.
Oh, yeah.
Can't shoot at all.
Yep.
And it's crazy. You said it brings me to the story where I remember the first time I actually shot a firearm, and it was just like I felt powerful.
Right.
You know what I
It's
mean?
usually what you feel when you first shoot.
But I also remember times where I had been in situations where I didn't get to grab my firearm, but I had it or it was near me, and someone shot at me. Then I felt,
Right.
you know what I mean, the
Right.
exact opposite of what I would
Right.
feel.
Right.
Powerless.
You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was just like when you know how it feels from both sides,
Yeah.
you really understand
Yeah.
why you need it or why you might not.
Yeah, I mean,
You understand?
I'm a retail store manager. This past summer, you know, I was held up at gunpoint. I remained calm, but I'm like, you know, at any moment, this fool can feel powerful and just take my life.
Take your life.
You know, and it wasn't a good feeling. Which gets to looking at some people are responsible for gun ownership. Sometimes you can really stretch someone out when you do that.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't. You know, it really stretches them out. You know, the kids in Baltimore, D.C., wherever have you with the gun violence. Sometimes I wonder how they actually survive each day.
And the gun violence is real.
I can't listen. When I was young, I carried a knife. You know, not every day, but I carried one enough.
Right.
And so I can't imagine, you know, fast forward into where we are right now. I'm quite sure if you would have took the 17-year-old me
Right.
from that point,
Yeah.
I would be carrying a gun.
Yeah.
Easy.
Even during my generation, you pull out a knife on me, I'ma laugh at you. I mean, I was
Of course,
16,
right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
18 years
Now.
old.
Yeah.
It's funny, you know what I mean? But I just think people are just so infected by gun violence. You know? Like it's like a cancer. It just keeps spreading and spreading and spreading and spreading. No, I'm not saying the guns are bad.
No, but
I'm just saying the people behind it.
Right. It's.
And is that power addictive? That power might be addictive. That gun might be addictive.
That's true
You
too.
know what I mean?
It can be like a drug to some
drug,
people.
exactly.
But but that's what we're trying to change through NAAGA. You know, it's just that's about gun safety, gun responsibility. It's about gun advocacy for the community. And the first start, like you said, is gun safety.
No, I mean, I totally respect it. I mean, one of the things that, you know, and people might come at our neck for this, but me and my colleague, Dr. Chris Saintville, shout out to him.
Shout out Chris, man.
Shout out
Sunny
to Chris.
Buffalo.
But we always said in our violence intervention program that the first thing, you know, people go in with violence intervention, the mantra is like, put the guns down. And I'm like, you have to gradually get to that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to start off with, I don't want you to put the gun, like get rid of the gun. Like there's no, and I don't believe that. I don't believe in that either. I don't believe that you should get rid of your gun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't believe in that buyback shit. I just don't.
Right.
And I have philosophical differences even with people that are in my own program. Like the trauma surgeon in my program does buybacks. I'm like, first of all, buybacks are ineffective.
Mm-hmm.
Really. They've never been proven to reduce any kind of violence in the street. I don't believe in the shit. I mean, I can understand you want to get guns off the street, but it doesn't reduce violence.
It doesn't make. I mean,
The person that's going to get rid of a gun.
it doesn't make
First
sense.
of all, the person that's going to get rid of a gun, more than likely something is wrong with the gun,
Mm-hmm.
or the gun got a couple bodies on it, and
That's
you
what I
want
was
to get
saying.
rid of it.
That's my next
You
point.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
that's
I'm
my
like,
next
the whole
point.
buyback.
Right.
But I think for us, it's like, and I mean, Shay, you heard us say this to you. We said it to everybody we come in contact with that comes to us. I'm like, listen, bro, I'm not telling you put the gun down. Like, not the gun away. I'm telling you keep the gun at the crib.
I think you should tell them about the story we had at the gas station. And first thing I said, if I would have had.
That was my point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we always advocate to guys that, to our guys that come into the hospital, like, look, I'm not telling you to get rid of your gun, but we are advocating for you to keep your gun at the crib. And this is why. Because you gotta kind of de-escalate from the lifestyle you was living. You know what I'm saying? Totally. In order to, I think, come back out into society with your gun on your head.
Right.
So it's almost like we put you in almost like a rehab. Like, listen, you just gotta keep that joint at home. So this, what was it? Some of that just passed. Some of that just passed. So this is what we've been talking to Che about. He's like, yo, you know, just gotta keep your hand in the crib.
It took me a long time.
It took a while, yeah.
For me not to have.
Yeah, it took a while but we were in a situation where we were at a gas station, right outside of Southeast, basically Southeast, and Che was at. It was late. It wasn't that late. It was like 10.
It was dark.
It was dark. It was night time. It was 10, 11 at night. So he's at the window getting something. I think he was getting some cigarillos or whatever, and like everybody's giving everybody space. I wish like our listeners could see it. They probably see it on YouTube. But you know, people were standing like where the gas pumps were and letting, you know, giving the people enough space to make their little transaction. Right. It was an understood rule of the line. So out of nowhere, everybody's respecting the rules. Here comes some, you know, you always gotta have a person. You always got one motherfucker that just can't respect the rules.
Yep.
So I saw him out the corner of my eye get out his car and just start strolling hard up to the window. So he walking in front of everybody. So he totally ignores the like, let me give him 5 feet rule. It gets like right behind Che, like on his back. And so Che turn and go in his pocket for his money, and his elbow hit the dude, and he hits the dude and looks at him, and the dude standing there just looking like, what? Not really like what, like I want it, but not really even being
oblivious.
Not just oblivious. Like I don't even know what's going on right now. So I could see it unfold, and I was like, it's about to unfold.
And the crate, I'm sorry to cut you off, but the crate, the first thing I did was reach. I didn't have my gun on me. The first thing I reach for, I go like this.
Yeah.
It's a habit.
By habit.
You know what I mean? Somebody that close up on
By
you.
habit.
Yeah,
You know
I know what you mean.
And so I went to roll. As soon as I tried to roll my window down, some lady out of nowhere says to the guy, she was like, let's just say his name Tony.
Yeah.
She was like, hey Tony, you know, damn, you just came home. And he was like, him and his brother, you know what I'm saying? He was like, yeah, I just came home. And it diffused the situation, but I was like, this is one of the reasons why we try to tell, at least our guys, yo, leave that joint at home, man. Because that situation, had it, the situation would have totally went left.
I wouldn't be here.
We wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. You understand? So, like, our whole thing is, like, we're not trying to strip anyone from, particularly black men, from, like, exercising their Second Amendment right. I think that's the problem with a lot of these programs. Like, they really brainwash brothers to believe that they shouldn't have a gun.
Right.
Because brothers in some way are inherently irresponsible.
Right.
Like, get the fuck out.
Which one of those craziest is you just say that a gun represents power. They don't want you to have that power. And I think that's why they're so against.
Well, that's why the laws were always set up to disarm black people, right? That's why. That's why we have my brother here, Stephen Yorkman, to kick it about why we shout out to you.
You know, from slavery, Jim Crow, even today, you know, you had the Black Panthers, they had guns, but Reagan said, no, we don't want that anymore.
Exactly.
You know, you got too powerful.
Too powerful.
Yeah.
Too powerful to have a brother with a gun. So what's next on, before I get to what's next on the horizon for your chapter, if somebody wants to join, what's the process?
Two-step process. The first thing, you need to join at the national level. So if you go to Google NAAGA, NAAGA, national level.
Okay.
There's a cost for membership. The membership's probably $20 for a year. And after you join there, you can go to meetup.com and Google us, NAAGA, Prince George's County, Maryland, and join us for free. So it's a simple process, and there's 2 questions that I ask. First of all, can you qualify for our Maryland HQL?
Okay.
Second question, what's your level of experience of shooting firearms? Those are
Okay.
only 2 questions. And after that, you're free to join.
Y'all hear that, black people?
It's easy.
It's
We
easy.
have now
Just be able
a
to shoot.
legitimate way to shoot your gun responsibly. Please check this brother out. Please sign up if you're trying to responsibly own a gun and shoot your gun. Please join up.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? But where do we go from here in the narrative with African Americans and exercising their Second Amendment right?
Well, for us locally, we want to start doing working with youth. That's one of the primary things you want to do. Like the situation over here with our young brother, we want to first do the gun safety, teach them how to shoot, get the professional training. So when you come out with us, you're not gonna shoot the gun like that.
Yo, I was gonna bring that. All of that sideways action that y'all saying in them
You're not
videos.
gonna shoot the gun
That's
like that.
corny. That's not how you shoot a
You're
gun.
not gonna do that. We're gonna get you the professional training. But first, we're gonna talk about safety. And again, before we even go there, we want to show you what irresponsible gun ownership looks like. That's one of the narratives I want to push with our group. Naturally, we just want to get more blacks exposed to shooting guns. If you just want to shoot for, self-protection or home defense, that's fine. But we also want to talk about hunting. We also want to talk about seed and trap, pistol, even professional competition at that level, at the national level. Now again, our main thing is to promote responsible gun ownership among African Americans.
Yo, I salute you for that, brother.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? I appreciate you coming on the show, man. Yo,
Oh, yeah,
you
most
drop-
definitely.
you drop mad knowledge. We gotta bring you back, though.
Oh, most definitely. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
We gotta bring you
Yeah.
back. I'm trying to join you.
Oh yeah, just
Seriously.
sign up,
Seriously.
join.
I'm gonna be a member, man.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's like I said, we're still young, we're still growing. Right now, we have 34 members. But I get people interested at least once a week. Someone's asking me how did I join. And our goal is to eventually get to 300 within the year.
So do you have any information that maybe they can look you guys up, your charter or anything?
Yeah, if you go to the national website, they're doing an upgrade with the site right now, so it might not be up, or we might not be on there. But if you go to just Google NAAG, National African American Gun Association, that would bring you to the national chapter. And if you go to meetup.com, and the same thing, just Google NAAGA, Prince George's County, Maryland, they'll bring us up, and you can join there. And again, there's only 2 questions that I ask. First, can you qualify for a handgun qualifying license? And second, what is your experience of shooting? And those are the only 2 questions that I ask.
There it is, and if you're listening to the podcast, man, because we get people listening from all over the country. It might be a chapter in your state,
Yeah.
and this chapter's growing all across
Mhm.
the country. So it's not just Maryland. You can join in North Carolina,
Right.
Ohio. I've
Right.
seen you can join in basically
Right.
most of the states in United States.
Right.
So it's growing, and if you're in a state that doesn't have one, maybe you might think about starting one.
Yeah, you can. All you can do is, again, contact the national chapter and communicate with the President Phil Smith and say, hey, there's no chapter in our area or there's no chapter in our state. Can I start one? And he'll send you the process to go ahead and do that. The same thing I did, and it's relatively quick. I started within a week. It's a quick turnaround. So.
There it is.
Hey guys, one thing that I want to reiterate, man, let's leave the guns at home. There's too many young black men dying right now, and we're killing each other, guys.
And if you want to shoot responsibly, you have a place to do it
Yep.
now. So
Yep.
brothers, you don't gotta go out to a lot and shoot your gun off, bump your gun off.
Backyard,
Your
woods.
backyard or the woods.
Yeah.
It's official organizations that are led by African Americans and comprised of African Americans, where you have a safe place to shoot.
And we gotta stop killing innocent people. We gotta stop killing innocent people. Steve just said, hey, stop shooting the gun sideways. That's
Yo,
not
seriously,
how you shoot a gun.
that's not how you shoot a gun.
Yeah, seriously.
Go take the
Seriously.
class,
Yeah,
go on YouTube, do whatever you
Yeah.
gotta do to find out how to shoot the right way. But
Right.
it's just too many people dying that don't deserve to die. You know what I mean?
But I'm glad that, you know, right now we have organizations like your organization. I really salute you, man. You know, when I looked it up and I saw you, I immediately hit you up, bro.
And I said, I'm
You know what I'm
not the expert. You know, if I'm giving out wrong information, call me out. I make sure I correct it. You know, but like I said, our main aim is to make sure we have safe, responsible gun ownership for African Americans. That's our priority.
So yo, this is Steve Yorkman. He's the president, National African American Gun Association chapter, Robert Williams, Bowie, Maryland. Prince George's County, Maryland. Look up Robert Williams. You need to know your history for real.
Yeah.
Before you even decide to join the chapter, you got to know your history about the relationship between guns and African Americans in the United States.
Yeah, we can't read the book.
You got to
YouTube it.
YouTube it.
Yeah.
Why you can watch the video.
Yeah.
This brother, you know, sacrificed his life, you know, to exercise the Second Amendment right. And actually, I was exiled to Cuba for a minute for it. So, yo, once again, man, we got to toast up. I want to give a little toast. Thank you, my brother, for coming on. And I want to toast up Negroes with Guns. Salute.
Bullets with no name.
Bullets with no name. Capital Region Violence Intervention Program, Prince George's Hospital Trauma Center. We out here to save lives, and we the show of alternatives to alternative facts.
Sulin High School. I want to shout out Sulin. I want to shout out Blazeburg. Hey, knuckles up.
Guns down.
Guns down. Yep.
Knuckles up.
Guns down. On that note, we holler at y'all on the other side. Peace.
We out.